welcome to Pint-Sized OCR, the only podcast in the world dedicated to junior obstacle course racing and produced by UK OCR. And here's your hosts, Libby Joyce and Finlay Greenleaf.
It's lights out and away we go. No time for pit stops and no cutting corners. Join me and Libby Joyce back at the driving seat of the podcast focused on junior OCR racing across the world. So fly around each corner, all gas, no brakes. After all, we have no time for retakes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pint-Sized OCR.
We're back.
Boom.
After, it seems like a while, not gonna lie. I've had quite a few people going, when's the next one coming out? When's the next one coming out? When's the next one coming out? And here's the next one.
Yeah, we're here. Just like that.
We're back after for me, one of the best months, I think, for me.
You've been across the world,
racing-wise. It has been such a good month. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been sitting at home unwell, but yay, we're back. Yes, it's been the opposite month for me. I had a couple of races, but I've been sadly full of cold and struggling to run. But here we are. We're back. Different months, both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
probably kick off where we left off, probably. And that was obviously our last big episode, which
was
yeah, it left a mark on the OCR world, is what I'll say. We've shooken up, we've shaken, stirred up, whatever you want to call it. We've upset people, and we've
made quite a few people laugh as well.
Yes, we have. That's what we planned to do, and we're glad we've done that. But
yeah,
we put some stuff out there, and we're gonna.
And I'm not gonna lie. I think I've won the debate.
All right. We'll leave that out for now.
Who picked up a medal at a race?
Yes, because I was a fun runner. I picked up a medal at Tough Mudder because I was a fun runner, and I spoke about that. I was not elite, but let's get past that. We want to hear, of course, what people thought, and obviously I've got a couple of quotes from people and what they had to say afterwards. So starting off with Laura Hayward, of course. She's now third of the Masters Women's UKCR Series, of course, so that this weekend. So well done to her, of course. But anyway, she messaged me and said, we don't need medals, or at least at championship races, for participation. So obviously saying, of course, that there's major races only for first, second, third. And when it comes to championships like Euros or Worlds, participants shouldn't just be given medals. And I fully agree with Laura there. And I say, yeah, it's exactly how it should be. That's what Laura had to say. Meanwhile, on the other end of the stick, we had Mark Turner message and say, yeah, I love a medal. How I decorate my garage is a constant reminder of how far I've come. I know he loves his medals as well, and I think he was very offended by what I said. But there you go.
Good.
That shows two ends of the spectrum there. Laura and Mark both saying opposite things pretty much. And another one was Mike Mudder. He messaged me and said, he's not messaging me, sorry, actually put this on the comments. I'm not that popular with messages, but you know what? I'm going to say this. I don't want people to message me. I don't say it in a mean way, but I'm so bad at replying to messages.
He really is. We were trying to set up this podcast, and I texted him like 7 o'clock, so I didn't get a reply until half an hour before we need to start.
Yeah, because I saw it and I registered it, but I never replied. And I'm going to apologise to everyone now, because I bet there's a lot of people listening who have messaged me in the past. I've just never replied. There's been messages I've been sent. I've been left there for like probably 10 weeks, maybe at some point. I've scrolled down at some point, but I really apologise. I've had to reply to messages, so that's just me. But anyway,
it's not just you. I do it all the time as well. Don't worry.
Okay, good. I feel a bit better now. So
no, I'm quite bad at not answering messages.
I'm not being mean, people. I'm just really bad at replying to messages. Let's just leave that out there and continue on. Mike Mudder, he said, for an OCR newbie, I totally get and remember the feeling of getting my first few medals, but I've got so many now, they're just shoved in a box. Occasionally, for example, the Spartan Trifecta Weekend medal this year, they're ones that I simply must have. And that's the only reason why I did Spartan this year. But my bands that I kept to the Worlds, 18 and 19, and my soon-to-be 75-plus headbands at Tough Mudder are my most prized OCR memorabilia, not medals. So interesting there. Obviously hearing other things as well as medals being given out that are just as or even more important. So yeah, nice, interesting take there from Mike Mudder. And then,
which I agree with, because my bands from WC, which we'll talk about, are the best things I've got this year.
Where are they? Like they framed on the wall or something? Or
No, they're not framed. They are on my shelf, where in view of where I'm any point in my room, they're in view.
is it a special shelf? Is it a very special shelf? Up
It's
there,
got all my
prized
special
possessions.
stuff on.
Special shelf, the special things, prized possessions. Exactly.
Yeah.
Are there any medals on that shelf?
No, that my medals are on my wall.
Oh, so medals are not special, technically. That's
They're
what you're
on my
saying.
wall next to the shelf. I've
Not the
nailed
special
them.
shelf though,
I've nailed them into the wall.
but they're not on the special shelf.
Where am I going to
Special shelf.
put if I lie them flat on the shelf, you're not going to see them.
I know, but it's the special shelf. So if it's special, it's got to go up there. It's the rules.
It's next to it on the wall.
Yeah, it's
My
next to it,
whole wall is like oh fuck.
decorated.
Thank you, decorated.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's my brain wasn't working. This is the problem. I think of a word, but I can't say it. It annoys me.
Well, there you go.
But yeah, decorated with all my medals, all my my checks, two. I've only got two, and picture frames with course maps.
Okay.
That's one thing I do like. At one of my races, trail race, the winner got a picture frame of the course map with the distance she did, with the amount of elevation descent she did, and your time.
Yeah, that's nice. And I know we're getting a bit distracted now by other shiny things we get as rewards. But if you look at, I believe it's Tough Viking. They do so many nice things. Little pieces and like puzzle pieces that come together to make. I think it's an axe and a shield, and that's probably like Viking style stuff. It looks really really nice. Yeah.
Another thing I do like is the High Rocks bands.
Mm.
I know this is not OCR, and I'm sorry everyone, but they are good because they've got the color of the which. So obviously you got females which get white, mixed which get silver, and then males get black. I think.
Don't look at me. I've got no clue.
I think, but I do like them because they last a while. Like, and then the only thing is when you take them off, you can't put them back on again. So it's like a normal band.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. There's other options as well, like we just said there, that weren't discussed last time, that are potentially just as good or better than medals, depending on the situation and how well they're executed. But there you go.
But now I think the juniors medals are the best thing to get them into sport.
Of course, but of course, at the same time, you've got to have a special shelf, juniors, as we just left.
Yes, you have a special shelf or a special wall.
This will be a new like definition in OCR now. The special shelf, all your awards and stuff. It's got to go there. Lovely. But anyway,
that's what we should do. If any of you juniors have got a special shelf, send us a picture, and we'll let people know who's got a special shelf or not.
I can't. I don't know how many times I can say special shelf anymore. It's a real tongue twister now. The superb special shelf. It's really
special shelf.
Special shelf. Yeah, the
shelf.
The superb special shelf.
Not shelf, not shelf.
Shelf.
Shelf. So I'm gonna start saying shelf.
You think if somebody does a podcast, I'll be able to speak, but yet here I am struggling to say shelf. So, right, we've got really carried away. We're gonna keep going.
Carry on.
Back on track, lads. Back on track, everyone. Welcome back. Alex Young, he said medals should be the same year after year. So you could, sorry, he said they should be the same year after year. So the medals are constant. So you can decide to take a medal if you want one. If you don't take the race venue, so I'm not going to blame myself here. I'm going to blame Alex Young because I copy and pasted this. If you don't take the race venue, doesn't have to buy as many. Oh, if you don't take it, the race venue doesn't have to buy as many next year. Medals for podiums. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the way Alex wrote that for a second there. I did copy and paste these because these are quoted. I'm sorry, Alex. I struggled to read what you were saying there.
I'm not laughing at what Finn said. No, I'm laughing at his face.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell. I got halfway through that. I was like, oh, not sure what I'm reading here. I did proofread that earlier. Alex wrote that completely right. I just had a bit of a moment there. But yeah, there you go. Alex saying it should be the same every year. And obviously, you don't take one, racing got to buy as many next year, and the medals off podiums. Yes, that's what I think he's trying to say, and I think he said that very well. I think I just poorly executed reading it. Yes, so there you go. That's another opinion we had. And lastly, we had one from Emma Jeffrey talking instead about having the idea that Worlds and Euros were alternate years. And she said, totally agree. Worlds and Euros, alternate years. Next year, end of June for Euros, early September for Worlds. Too close together right now. Training for each should be very different. So there you go. That wasn't as smooth as I hoped it was going to be. But there we go.
We got sidetracked. We got Finn couldn't read what was going on.
He couldn't read. He couldn't say shelf. It all went wrong. But yeah, we thank everyone for obviously messaging us, letting them know opinions, letting everyone know what you thought, letting us know what you thought. We love hearing it, and obviously love getting the feedback and knowing what the OCR community thought. So yeah, thank you very much. We have more messages as well. But honestly, you guys are so supportive. I read every message, especially at the pace I was doing them so poorly executed. I think it'd probably take up about 2 hours, me stuttering my way through each one. But there you go. Thank you, everyone. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So should we get onto what we're going to talk about afterwards? So we're going to do catch-ups. So obviously I've had quite a busy month traveling, but it's been such a great month. I think with the places I've been and the people who were there as well, I think it's really good. So I'll talk about WC first, because I think for WC it was a good race, really, really good. I'm really happy with how I did, so I kept my bands on all three. So it's my first triple band completion. Never done it before, so it was really good. The amount of people who were there there was quite a few there, which was good, but you didn't get like the norm. Not all the elites you normally do. There's quite a few of the elites missing.
Can I ask a question quickly?
Go on.
Did that taint its title at all of being OCR WC standing for World Champs, or was it still that level in your opinion?
Oh, it was still that level.
Okay, yeah, good.
You still had the people, like the top couple of people battling it out, even for the ones that you didn't see. So like obviously for the 3K and for the 3K for the women, the finish line for third place was ridiculously awesome. It was like, you know how last year was Lindsay and Nicole? This year it was Sydney, and I can't remember who came third because we had the finishing wall back. Well, not really the finishing wall. It was like a slip wall, but it was still the same as the old finishing wall, which I thought was really, really good to have that back again. I think definitely for the team race as well.
Yeah, because it was entertaining team race.
It was a good thing. So the 3K, obviously, we had the two of the ladies for battling for third and fourth across the finish line. The lady who came third literally threw herself down these steps. She literally rolled down the steps to push herself over the line, which I thought I didn't get to watch it because I was racing. But for the videos I've seen and people who've said it, it was a good finish.
So you could say that she stepped up her game then? Could you say that? Didn't. Sorry, yeah. Yes, that's taking commitments to a whole new level. I had to squeeze that in. Sorry, everyone, but that was very much needed. Yeah, what a finish that sounds like then. Sounds very, very entertaining. I've just broken the whole flow here, sorry. But yeah, if I don't mind asking a question, and I'm going to be critical here because I believe as OCR athletes, obviously we've got five, so we've got OCWC, a world championship, a WC time for world championship should be the best standard physically possible for our athletes. A world championship's the best of the best. Do you believe, of course, the team race, as far as I was aware anyway, I wasn't a huge fan of the team race, I'll be point blank and honest, because I think obviously first was Clofield Titcombe, I can't remember who else, and I apologise. But I wasn't too pleased by the fact it was mixed nations at a world championship. I know I'm going to sound a bit biased there. I might be proved wrong by some people who disagree with me, but when I think world championships, I was thinking representing nation, and a mix of nations felt quite weird for me, especially with team, I think it was Latvia, sorry, doing so well as a separate nation, being just by nations. So do you have any opinions on that, Libby? Of course, mixing your teams, mixing your nations, you think that's fine in your opinion?
I think it's fine in my opinion, because the 2 years I've done it, I've had a mixed nation.
Yeah.
The first year I did it with Nicole and Lindsay.
Yeah.
And the second year I did it with an American lady, and then I did a mixed team. So we were all from 3 different countries.
Yeah. That's
So,
interesting.
but the thing is, I think sometimes it's not a bad thing, mainly because you might not be able to get a whole nation team because there might only be one of you or two there. So the male who we did it with, was the one of the only ones from his country,
Yeah.
which means he couldn't do a team race unless he did it in mixed nations.
Yeah. So you're saying OCWC more of the best against each other rather than the best nations against each other kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
reckon
Okay.
it's like the best of the best between each other. So obviously you had Tikkun's team and Leon and shoot, my mind's gone blank.
I feel bad because we've both forgotten it. Was he South African? Was he? I can't remember now. I feel a bit bad myself. I've forgotten one person.
Oh my God, what is his name? Not that. Bear with. But obviously, I think it's not a bad thing having a mixed one because obviously, as I said, you're not going to get everyone who's going to be in the same country together. Thomas
Yeah.
Van Troff, Thomas Van Troff,
There we
Thomas.
go.
I can't pronounce his last name.
Won't
Thomas.
be. Let's just say Thomas.
Yeah,
Thomas
Thomas.
ran
Yeah.
with them, and yeah.
But obviously, they was a mixed one, and they were 3 of the best there. All 3 of
Yeah.
them came in the top 10
Yeah.
in elite in both days. So I think it doesn't really matter too much because no matter if they or them team and the team, they were battling it out. So I don't think it doesn't really matter too much because it's not going to be,
Yeah.
no matter
Substantial.
what, you're going to have each other battling other people out.
Yeah. Well, it's certainly interesting. So yeah.
So
So I'm trying to have a quick look. Can't find it again because I remember seeing the stats of the numbers, and obviously that decreased still, sadly from the last couple of years. But like you say, it was still quite a competitive field out there. And watching it from home, like a good course. I think it was quite
it
hilly
was
as well.
such a good course.
Yeah.
I think it was so much tougher. The 3K was one of the toughest 3Ks I've done.
Yeah.
It was so tough because of the elevation and the obstacles they put into them. The amount of because you were going up such an elevation at the start, and you had all the technical rigs together. Like you had snake pit, trapeze, drop zone, not skit, drop zone, Gibbons, Force 5, hoist, ricochet, lash, what's it called? The last rig, the lash one. That one, all in the 3K, all really close together. You had School Valley in there as well. They were all so close together that it was a pumped course. It was for how short it was, the number of obstacles in it was so good. And it was so spectator friendly as well.
Yeah.
Like they put all the top good rigs in the spectators area. The 100 meters, toughest 100 meters I've ever seen. Like it was a tough 100 meters.
What? Sorry, I'm just thinking. Why was that? Sorry, was it elevated as well? 100 meters. What made it difficult?
No, it was just it wasn't the normal 100 meters that they normally have.
Okay.
You started off with ropes, so straightforward ropes, and these ropes were like not even like the Spartan ropes. They were like pure rope that falls apart.
Yeah.
Straight onto a wall. Then you had the moving bars, but they go up at an elevation. Then you had monkey bars coming down. Then you had a couple of other rigs, and the last rig was fingerboards.
Oof, that's quite different on 100 meter.
Yeah, you had one.
You
had one fingerboard that way, so one side, then the other side, then two one side, then the other side, then the other side, then bell.
Can I ask another question quickly? I don't want to start to sound like I'm interviewing you, but when you say something like this, do you think that's better or worse? Because we look right now at FISO, we look at the official 100 meter course. The point is, it's the same thing over and over and over again. So athletes can train it, they can perfect it to be faster and faster. Do you think it's better for 100 meters to be constantly the same, like the FISO official one is, where it's always the same, or should they be more like the 3Ks, the 7Ks, and the 15Ks, where the obstacles are always different and unique, such as it was at OCR. Of course, it was different. 100 meter means it's more difficult. It's more varied. But the issue being, athletes don't get time to practice on the obstacles. The athletes aren't as experienced as they are when it comes to the 5K ones, because they train that week in, week out, pretty much on the very same course. Do you think it's better that it's different, or should it always be the same?
I don't know. I think for the 100-meter championships, I think obviously like at Havar, which we'll get to later, I think for that the course should stay the same.
Okay.
So people can work on it, get better at it, get better time, and get quicker at it.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the main thing. Because obviously at WC, you get some of the obstacles that are roughly the same.
Yeah.
You get now and then you get a new obstacle coming in, but most of the time the obstacles are the same. I think it's good to have them 100 meters that are just random, that you're not going to know what's going to come up. I think that's good sometimes, but obviously I don't do the 100 meters, so obviously people who do the 100 meters might have the view of it needs to stay the same.
Yeah.
And I think it does need to stay the same. And I think it's good that it stays the same in some way. But at the same time, I think we should have that 1 or 2 100 meters that change.
Yeah. And so I don't want to change subject again, but there's a lot of debate, I think, recently, especially after FISO as well, about permanently putting in wet weather rules for 100 meter, because I think many people start to call it a glorified long jump, and wet weather rules being, if I'm not mistaken, you think you have to touch
the first
attachment.
But you have to touch the first attachment in wet weather.
So I think
for
that's
safety,
I don't think I think it makes it better. I think in terms, because
for safety wise, yes.
Entertainment
for entertainment, not so. Yes and no.
Yeah,
because obviously you want to see people take them risks, but you don't want to see people get hurt.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's just not the way OCR should be. It's not should be get loads of people get hurt. So wet weather wise, I think it is a good shout of key. You have to touch the first obstacle, and it's fair.
Yeah.
Because some people might not be. If it's wet, oh my god, I'm not going to jump out because they don't want to risk the rest of the season if it's at the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean,
so I think wet weather wise, I reckon that's a good shout.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's a really tough line in terms of fairness, because, and I know there'll probably be some ninjas listening a bit, not me saying this, but when I say the words glorified long jump, a lot of the best of them are really tall and really jumpy. Like, look at some of the Americans and some of the best of the world. They just are so tall, they just launch themselves ahead of other people and like miss attachments and stuff. So, which I feel sometimes can be unfair. But in fairness, that's how sport works. Sport is down to genetics. You look at basketball players, there's a reason why they're all tall. So even though it is unfair.
Look at some of the 3K and 15K. Exactly. When you come to rope traverses, being taller comes to an advantage.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to low rigs, being small comes to an advantage.
That doesn't work as well in the 100 meter, does it? Unless maybe the sliding under the net bit, I don't know. It's an interesting topic.
Jumping out further because you've got more reach.
Yeah, but the question is that unfair advantage, or is that just genetics? Like I said,
I think it comes to what it comes to. If you're taller, then it comes to your advantage in some ways.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting subject, and it's such a young sport and such a young thing like the 100
But then
meters.
You've got some people like Tommy, who's not ridiculously tall, but has got that momentum to jump so far.
Yeah, of course. It's interesting. It's a really interesting thing to discuss and talk about. I personally think, going back to what we talked about before, keeping the same course should be right. Of course, you look at things like speed climbing. I think they ever changed the course there. That's always the same. For those who don't know, speed climbing, same course.
Yeah.
I don't know when it was last changed. As far as I'm aware, for a very, very long time. There'd probably be riots in the street if they changed that. So,
yeah,
I think keep the 100 meter course constant.
The same.
And
I think you need to when it comes to doing big championships, and because people are not going to know what to train.
Yeah.
Whereas if you keep it the same, 100 meter people will know how to drill it, know how to do it, and it's interesting to watch, and it's good to watch some people make that progress.
Yeah.
I think with WC, having that different kind of 100 meters, you saw some people who are more technical come in advantage.
Yeah. can I ask another question if right? This is a string of questions.
Go ahead.
OCRWC. Do you like OCRWC as a race?
I absolutely love it. I think for me, it's one of my favorite races. Mainly because I'm not allowed to work in it, but it's challenged me every year, and it's the one race that I've never been able to crack.
Okay.
Mentally, physically, yes, but mentally, no.
Okay. Do you also like enjoy what they do in terms of like where they put obstacles they use, the course they use? Do you agree with that as well?
Yeah, because they never keep it the same. It's never ever the same. I like how it's in the same place two times in a row. But like this year, so last year it's been at Mammoth. Last year it was on one side of the mountain. This year was on the other side of the mountain. So it was like you don't know where you're going. You don't know the route. It's brand new to everyone.
Yeah. And one more thing. So you're saying basically when you say that, you're saying that you agree with their decisions, yes?
Most of them, yeah.
Do you saying you agree with their decisions?
Why do I feel like I'm going into a trap?
You're going into a trap, exactly that. Because
for God's sake.
OCRWC have confirmed there'll be no 2025 race. They're going straight to 2026. Obviously, meaning they listened to the last episode of the podcast and they heard Finley Greenleaf be such a genius in saying we should have it every other year. They listened to me. So, Libby, your favourite race disagrees with you and agrees with me. So I won the debate.
No. Do you know why they have moved it? Why they're not doing it 20? No.
And they heard me and they thought that boy is a genius. We should listen to him.
No. Do you know why they have put it at 2020?
If it wasn't me, what other reason have they chosen to, apart from my genius idea?
Because they have moved the date. So it's not going to be in September, October time. It's now going to be in May. When you think logically, that is smart. Because when do we have European Championships?
Other world Europeans as well, yes.
When do we have European champs then, normally?
I've been to the last three. I've had GCSEs. I generally don't even know. I feel really bad.
That's why I asked you.
Is it June, July-ish? September's Worlds,
I think so.
Yeah.
But they've moved it because then it falls roughly in the middle of the year, which means you can do mostly other races and it doesn't really clash with loads and loads of stuff.
Yeah.
But most of the time. But they've done it, they're leaving next year out mainly because they've moved the date and they wouldn't be able to get all of the course laid out, find the proper route, get the all obstacles shipped over again, get the obstacles built between now and May.
Yeah. Okay.
So they've left that gap because it means they're not going to get everything done. They're not going to be able to get that race that they want everyone to be going to and everyone to love and it be organised properly in that amount of time.
Okay, so then
which is smart.
They're making it a year later, so more people will turn up. Yeah, so it'll be a bigger and better event, and more people.
They're leaving it that long so they can get everything set up and it run smoothly. Whereas if they did it so close, they might not have the obstacles or the obstacles built they wanted, but the course map, the course to be correct, and make sure that no one's going to get lost.
Yeah. So basically, OCWC is calling me a boy genius. We had a genius idea of putting Worlds and Euros different times and having a year between them because
because they're going to keep it the stir 2 years. It's always it's always the same place for 2 years, then it moves. Same place for 2 years, and it moves.
But do you think obviously they've moved it? Of course, previously September. Of course, normally looking at next year is Sweden. That time of year is often FISO World. So it's interesting, and I'm going to say the word's confusing having WC and FISO World being two worlds right now, two world championships. It's a very confusing subject in my opinion. I think a lot of people find it confusing. Yeah. And obviously it's back in America again, which is interesting.
Yes, but it's on the East Coast, if I'm correct. So it should be easier to get to.
And I'm going to use a very strong language here and say OCWC being in the USA. Is it the World Championship is there again, or is it more like the Americans' little like OCR party sleepover kind of thing where they invite everyone over to have a fun little race in America? I understand it's very harsh, but yeah.
Yes and no. America's got a lot of people who love OCR there, so they get the most outcome. And also for America, it's quite hard for the people in America to travel to certain places.
Yeah, but still, they have very good systems to other
True.
countries as well. Like, I don't understand why. I know probably looking at like moving obstacles, etc., and maybe like
Yeah.
stats were down when it comes to people
And
coming
it's
to
quite
the
hard
races.
to ship some things.
Yes, but I will positively defend, and I will happily say the best OCR people, best OCR races happen in Europe, and I'd love to see him bring a race to OCWC because I think it'd be really, really good. But right now they're sticking to America, and in my eyes,
But they
that
might change in 2 years.
I hope so, because right now them in America kind of puts them off, in my eyes, being described as a world championship WC when they're sticking to the States.
They
But
still get
that's
all
me.
the amount of people there from the countries though, so
It's really, I thought it was declining still. I thought the numbers, but I don't know.
no, it was roughly the same, I think. The
I
atmosphere, it didn't seem quiet with the amount of
yeah,
people that were there watching the 3K, 15K, and 100 meters. There was
yeah.
quite a lot watching them still.
I was trying to look for the stats. I know Obstacle Racing Media posts some stuff about it, and it's interesting. That's what I will say. And like, there's a lot of things we've already discussed so briefly in this podcast: 100-meter rules, the worlds. We've already said about so many big debates on OCR. Obviously, at last episode as well. So it's a real question. All these things, especially for such a young sport.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's lots to unpack.
But yeah,
Lots to
so
uncover.
it was a good race, I think. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the course that they made. It was such good. 15K was brutal.
Hmm.
Like it was such a hard 15K. Mainly because I liked how they did it though. They put the running all together. Well, they didn't put all the running, so they did a big section of 3 to 4 through one or two, no, 2 to 4 obstacles together, then a good bit of running, then another 2 or 3 obstacles together, running. So you had time to shake out your arms, get the fuel you need. And I think the elevation that they had was so good. Like
Hmm.
it was such a good elevation. You couldn't, I couldn't find a way to get. If you were not really thinking too much, then maybe you could get lost. But other than that, the course was marked out really well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, overall, I enjoyed it. I was proud of how I did, and I think the age categories for the 13 to 19, I think. No, I can't remember the age cap, but the turnout for the youngest age cap was so good.
Okay.
Like so good for the 3K especially. 15K had a good turnout too, but overall the turnout for the younger age category was good.
Was it a mix in nationalities as well?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, because one thing that
yeah.
was obviously a massive flaw at
So
Pfizer.
obviously you had for the females, I know the females by heart. So the first female was American. The second
Hmm.
female, where was she from? She was American. Then third was American.
Yeah,
But other than that, the different turnout for different countries was good.
yeah, and I would say comparing that to Pfizer this year, it was really, really good for some of the younger age categories. But you look towards my age category and anything above the age of 16, it really died out. Um, in the
No.
16, 17, there was a Belgian lad, a Swede, and that was it for the 15K. And I think there was a Belgian lad, a Swede, and an Estonian for the 3K, so not much better.
Oh
Set
no,
down,
turnout for the boys was good.
yeah, but
Like
that's what I
the
mean.
start line was roughly this, just a little bit less than you get the next age category up.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is my concern. Can I compare it to, say, anyone 14 and under? There's a lot of people in those youth age categories at FISO, which is good, also
Which is
quite
good.
sad. It was good, but it's quite sad because FISO let every single one of them down that day, as we've already discussed. But I'm looking at it, and you look at that big gap. For under 14s, there's loads of people. 16 plus, there's not that many. And that's a concern in many sports because people get to that age like we are now, they want to get jobs and money, and that could put them away from sport. So, especially for OCR being such a young sport with such few people in it right now, if that continues happening, where our young people slowly distance themselves from the sport and go to other sports, other jobs, etc., is that why that age category is not that full? And could it be a problem
Yeah.
for us in the future getting young athletes? So,
The other thing
yeah.
that I'd say about WC as well, the reach for all the obstacles for the younger age categories, because obviously we're a little bit smaller, all of
Hmm.
that. was so good.
Mm-hmm.
For young kids, for them reaching was so good.
How about some monkey bars there? They were quite like wide. Were they smashing that, were they? Like,
Yeah, the laches.
yeah,
Yeah, they were full on. What they
flying
were
through.
flying through them laches. Like it was good for them. I think for the completion for them, I think it was just under 50. I think it was way under 50%.
Yeah,
Like a good amount of them were completing the obstacles.
that's good to hear. And that's obviously very good for the future of the sport across the world. So yeah.
But yeah, so let's move on now because obviously we're on to the next thing, which was for me was Havar, kids race. That's the only downfall for Havar.
Yeah, it's
But
yes,
they
really
had a
shame.
kids race. They did. The kids race that I saw was good, but they had no competitive kids race. It was just a fun kids race.
Yeah, and that's
So
a bit of a
that
shame.
was the only really downfall for Havar. The rest of
Yeah,
it was so good.
and can I just say as well, obviously his plans for next year, 2025, back I say plans, it's confirmed back again in Croatia next year, and still no signs of a kids competitive right now. But for people who do want that and want to see that, Stuart Jeffrey has started a petition, if I'm not mistaken, and you can sign that. I'm hoping the more signatures that will get, kind of nudge and prod Spartan to try and introduce one next year. So anyone does want that and is interested in that, go sign that petition. I think Stuart's put it in a couple of places. A couple of places actually tell lies, but put that in a lot of places because he wants everyone to sign it because it really is important. So try and push that for next time. Go sign that, everyone. I want to put that out there to clarify. I think it's really important.
So yeah, apart from that, I think Havar was probably one of the best run races I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good. The atmosphere for the 100 meters, mind blowing. The amount of people that were there, the amount of people that were on holiday came to watch the 100 meters. The people in the, because where they put it in a place where you had restaurants on one side, restaurants on the other side. So we had people sitting in the restaurants, people standing on the sides, cheering on the people for the 100 meters. And I think it was so good to watch. It was
Mm-hmm.
so good.
Yeah. I mean, watching it from home, I was very jealous. I agree with what you said. Watching it at home, it looked professional, it looked proper. It's one of the best things I've seen in OCR, I think,
This
in my
is one thing
opinion.
I haven't actually spoke to anyone yet. The live feed, how was it?
Oh, it was great. I mean, they had little cut scenes as well, like Spartan logo swooshing past and things like that. They had like wipes stuff, cut scene things, pushing things through. It looked proper professional. It looked proper sport, like something you'd find on
Because
TV. It was great.
obviously we were watching the cameras going around and it looked really good.
Yeah, it was proper. And I
Because
mean, yeah, hands down, Spartan. I tip my hat off to you. Executed to perfection.
obviously we won't watch live feed because it was in front of us, but they even had a big screen
Hmm.
on the side playing it. So for the people who couldn't see this front, like the start part of the 100 meters, could watch it on this massive TV.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
overall, I think it was such a good run race. The
yeah.
sprint was crazy.
Oh my God.
It
I've
was
heard.
so good.
Hmm.
Like we had three swims in it. For a course that obviously Thomas Blanc always makes good courses. Like the courses he's made were ridiculously good, but this one topped it. It was
Yeah.
such a good course. Sorry for making you jealous, Finn, but
Yeah, I'm gonna get tissues out right now. I'm feeling very upset. I've planned my
it
flights. I've
was
packed up for next year.
it was so good. For obviously we started off with the first obstacle was a log, was a swim, and it was so good because obviously I keep saying I'm gonna say so good so many times on this
Like you're
bit.
singing Sweet Caroline, isn't it? So good, so good. So I had to get a joke in there at some point. But yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. I've been watching it. It was so good. I mean that water as well, and those swims look lovely. Um, yeah, I can say something about those swims quickly myself because, like I said, I was watching the live, and I can just imagine doing that in the UK, being miserable with like the murky, dirty, horrible sea or some horrible lake. But there,
This
it's
one
like,
was blue and clear.
oh, it looked beautiful. Honestly, I'd probably slow down to enjoy the view for a bit and enjoy my swim. That's the issue with me racing that. I just love it. But yeah,
Yeah. but because obviously we did the swim and then we went up to I want to say castle. No, not castle or whatever. I think it was a castle, but like the massive building. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's the castle.
Yeah, we'll go with that. That works.
Go with that. But we ran up to that, and that's the sandbag carry at the top of that was not long. It was long, but it was you had running now. You were most likely going to fall on your face.
Yeah.
It was a technical sandbag carry, and when I mean technical, I mean technical.
Yeah.
Like you had to make sure you put your foot in the right place.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah, other than that, I don't have anything bad to say about it.
Yeah, I've got something I find quite interesting as a big topic in OCR, and I'm a little jealous
Oh God.
myself because when I was younger, I was really good on the obstacles. I kind of trade that away a bit. I'm nowhere near as quick as I used to be. I'm more of a runner these days as well, and obviously had the option to keep that pace up, keep going, doing 100 meters, and that's my main point I'm going to make here. Is 100-meter the future of our sport? Because you look at the crowds, you look at everyone watching, it is by far the most entertaining, and I'll say that without any bias.
It is, but I'm hoping it's not. Not to be mean to when it's 100 meters, but I'm hoping it's not.
Oh,
because
same here. Yeah.
I would love, 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 love to see a 3K or a 50, between a 3, I think from a 15 to a 3 in the Olympics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the dream. I think I'll be gutted, obviously, if
it's just 100 meters.
Yeah, same, because I feel like that would have been so possible for me as a young age. I just gambled the dice going this way, and obviously it'll hurt for having some of my athletes to get in, some of us not to get in.
Yeah.
But to play
I love watching 100 meters. Don't get me wrong, the 100 meters is such a good event to watch.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that it's going into the modern pentathlon to give us that boost. But I'm hoping it does give us that boost, and it's not just going to be 100 meters as its own event.
Yeah, and I don't want to play devil's advocate right now, but if you look at it, 100-meter is what we're seeing in pentathlon. That's what's being displayed to the world. 100-meter has been proven to be the most entertaining. It's by far the biggest stage, like we saw in Croatia. You look at athletics, 100 meters is the one everyone watches, everyone enjoys it. So it is leaning towards that way, which, like I say, does upset me as a long distance.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm hoping it's not, because
yeah, same.
I love 100 meters. Don't get me wrong, 100 meters is so good to watch, but I'm hoping it's going to help other distances in OCR.
Yeah.
Get into the Olympics.
Yeah, and by far the greatest flaw in it is that the main official FISO course is not available across the world, and that makes it very, very biased to certain nations. And you talk about sport being handicapped from what country you're from, it very, very much applies 100-meter. The technology difference is different because certain countries, and very little countries, have that 100-meter course spot on. So it's a very, very handicapped type of thing, in my opinion, 100-meter. Obviously, our athletes only able to train the proper thing right now at practice at Euros or Worlds or Croatia, etc. It's very, very hard to practice the official course. So that's the main flaw of it, in my opinion. It's such a handicapped bias thing where people have it and can train on it, have such a major advantage that isn't quite fair. But apart from that, it is stealing the show, taking the world by storm.
Yeah, but I think it will help other distances in the long run, hopefully.
So that's reminded me of a story now. I was chatting at FISO, some Americans. So I know, but this has just got me, and this is just going to show the dedication. Because there was a boy I met, and I was chatting to him, and he took a 2-hour flight. I think he lived Columbus, Ohio, and I can't remember where he took, but he took a 2-hour flight just to go train 100-meter course.
Yeah.
2 hours isn't major, but still, he took a 2-hour flight. He took a flight, paid all that money to go across America just to test out a 100-meter course for a little while, which in my opinion is dedication. It's quite incredible showing how much dedication these athletes have 100-meter and how determined they are to make it a major thing in OCR. But yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think I don't really have anything bad to say about her though.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, watching it.
It was so well run. It was put in a really good place. I think from you literally got off the ferry and the obstacles were in front of you.
Yeah.
So the only thing downfall was that there was no competitive kids race. But other than that,
but
nothing bad to say about it.
Should we say then Croatia is what FISO Worlds should have been and what Worlds should look up to? Because you look at, like I say, looking at the standard of it, looking at the way it's recorded and stuff. Spartan, of course, are a worldwide company. To be fair, they have that money to do so. But the fact is, in my opinion, that's what a world championship looks like. And I will defend FISO because, in my opinion, not my opinion, it's factual. FISO is our governing body. So anyone does a world, it should be them. But the fact is, they've been absolutely shown up there. And if things continue, they'll be looking towards Spartan, looking towards Croatia as a world championship. Because I don't care at the end of the day that FISO are our governing body. They've been put to shame by Spartan. And Spartan proved they can put on the best event the world has seen. So, and also prize money, plain and simple, way better. Proper up there.
It was crazy.
Yeah. But my only rumour I've actually heard about that is sometimes Spartan doesn't pay prize money, but fingers crossed they get that. Like I say, great event. Obviously, we saw in the men's, it was Dutch domination. Stein stole the show. I had to get that out there.
Oh my God.
That was a great
that finish line for third.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was there in person. Everyone just stopped dead still.
Yeah.
Like, no one moved because he hit the floor so hard. He fell from the top.
Right. That's what I want to say is, well, it's incredible, but I think Frank Osterholm, of course, who took third in the men's, is the definition of OCR's dark horse right now. Because you've got Stein and Jesse De Gea. Stein and Jesse De Gea are the two front faces of Dutch OCR. Dutch are the best. We see those two.
Yeah, because it was Stein, then it was second, it was French.
Was it someone representing Europe? I might be wrong.
No, it was French.
Was it? Oh, it was French, sorry, yes. It was a French athlete.
Oh my God, I know who it was.
While Libby looks it up, I want to continue on Frank because he really is an underdog. I know, sorry, junior, but still, as an adult, him coming through being a proper dark horse for the Dutch. Obviously, Stein, podium, winning it. Frank finishing third. I mean, Jesse obviously didn't touch podium in the end, but Jesse and Stein are always seen as the best. I think Frank very much a dark horse. Did incredible to take his third in what was an absolutely incredible event by Spartan. That the only missing flaw was the fact it didn't include the juniors, the people who this sport needs to build for the future and to make it a future sport. So one big flaw, but apart from that, Spartan showed the rest of the OCR world, especially FISO and every other major race creator.
How on earth could I not remember that? It was Gregory Basquiat.
I can't do a French accent.
Yeah, it was him. How on earth? Yeah, Gregory the second. That was it.
It's not a very French name, is it?
Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory. I was about to say more like that. Like you hear Thierry Henry, you think French. Gregory doesn't sound French to me. Has got the same ring to it.
Bear in mind, it's spelt differently in French.
Oh,
you've got the posh, like the posh Facebook letters as well.
Ah, Gregory. I don't.
No, okay, we're gonna move on before.
Yeah, please. I don't want to keep doing this French accent. I've embarrassed myself enough today. There you go. That's a lovely little recap.
So that was the recaps, but we have got some insight in little bit. Okay, let's do it again. We have got some very exciting new stuff coming up, so we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, let's have a little break, then we'll be right back with you.
Get your teeth into some science with a caffeine kick that works 3 times faster than gels, drinks, or pills. Caffeine bullets have been shown to boost your endurance by up to 6% and help reduce pain and fatigue so you can run faster for longer. Whether you're training for high rocks, OCR, or 5K or an ultra, caffeine bullets have your back. They'll help you train harder and push for that personal best. And here's the cool science part: buccal absorption. The caffeine is absorbed through your cheeks and gums as you chew, hitting your bloodstream in just 5 minutes. Perfect for getting that energy burst right when you need it. Ready to crush your next race? Use code UKOCR at checkout for 20% off and go smash your PB. Now, let's get back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after that little mini interlude. We return with all the news, all the discussions, and, well, so much more to say. So, pretty much get into it straight away. But Libby's had a bit of a laugh. So, while she keeps laughing, I'll move swiftly on.
Sorry.
She's all right. This happens all the time. We're going to keep moving on to Rumble Games is our next big thing to talk about. Under 18s event. It's July the 19th, 2025. Of course, Rumble Games being at Rumble Fitness, Milton Keynes. It's a 2-race event, actually, with both races having podiums and, of course, having prizes. Firstly, a short course suited for all juniors, and also a 400-metre, more focused on technical skills and technical obstacles. And tickets for that are released in November, and it's going to be really good. That's what I'm going to say. It's going to be really, really good. A proper big event, only under 18s, and, of course, it's at Rumble. People at Rumble, such as Dave, of course, we know they make brilliant races. The obstacles are always perfect.
Especially for juniors as well.
Oh, yes, 100%. The coaching going on, the structure.
Yeah, and it's always reachable for the shorter juniors as well.
Yeah, it is.
So I 100% know it's going to be such a good event.
Yes, of course. I mean, obviously, Dave as well, working with BOS for the previous junior champs as well.
And for the juniors.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much experience there. And I think all of us listening know Dave is one of the best, if not the best we have in the UK for this kind of thing, especially for the juniors. So it's been a really, really exciting event. And mark your calendars, get it all down, because it's going to be amazing. And I can almost guarantee that. I'm going to say that now because, like I said, I've already explained why. So all juniors listening and all adults listening, mark your calendars, like I say, get ready, because that's going to be something really, really special and really, really good for juniors in this country.
100%. I think it's going to be, I think we're going to get juniors from all different, not places, but like all different abilities there, which will be good to watch and see. Yeah. I think it's definitely going to be a tight race, maybe for the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
I reckon we're going to get some good athletes there for the juniors.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, we're looking at probably from Scotland as well, flying down, hopefully, maybe driving down, who knows. Obviously, we've got some really good athletes out there. Of course, Cameron being our reigning champion for 14-17 age cats, and, of course, Lauren MacArthur as well, being champion 14-17 for the women's. So, yeah, a lot of athletes, hopefully, from far and wide coming down. I say it like they are coming. I don't know. I don't want to speak for them. Who knows? But I really hope they are, because it's going to be a really good race.
I hope they are.
It deserves that kind of competition and those kind of proper 5-star athletes to come down. So, yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, same.
I think it's going to be good to have that one really competitive race for the juniors.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I don't know, you say one competitive race, but we've had the junior champs now, and this is showing we could maybe have a calendar of junior races.
And then, like, there's going to be good that there's going to be more races for them.
Yeah, and this is what I'm saying. I think this could potentially lead to something like a junior OCR series, potentially, because we're looking at Rumble Games now. That's one on the calendar. You've got the Spartan races. I think there's 3 now this year. So not this year, sorry, next year coming, 2025. We've got, of course, the British Championships, which would be really, really good. So it's starting to see potential here to have a proper
3K
series.
championships.
3K championships, yeah. So there's a lot there that can be really good for these juniors, and it's really, really exciting. So potentially seeing more races like this pop up, we could see a junior series in the future, and that would be really, really exciting to see, especially with events that are exclusive to juniors as well, because it gives them their own little spotlight away from the adults. So it's going to be good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be, it's going to be, I think it's going to be good atmosphere as well. I think there's going to be, and it's such a good place to be able to watch everything.
Yeah, it is. I'm just thinking back now, actually. I cannot recall, well, I could be corrected here. Not even excluding. This will probably be, as far as I'm aware, the only, I could be proven wrong, and it probably will be by people listening. So if you are listening, please, if I am wrong, shout it out. But this might be the first, as I'm aware, separate junior race there is. Because the first ever British champs was alongside Swanboard and Dava. The most recent ones being at Spartan. A lot of other junior races normally by like Spartan Kids is alongside obviously main Spartan races. A lot of races have juniors down as age categories. As far as I'm aware, this is the first separate junior only race there is in the UK. As far as, like I say, as far as I'm aware, I can't think of anything else really. It probably is the very first of its kind, which should be really, really exciting. You thinking that as well, are you? Because like I said,
Yeah.
I think it has to be. Because obviously, like I say, first junior champs were Swanbourne, then we had Spartan. Sorry, first two actually were Swanbourne. Obviously, that took the spotlight, but nonetheless, it still shared the venue with Swanbourne. This is junior only, which should be really, really exciting to see. And like I say, anybody's listening, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. But as far as I'm aware, this is groundbreaking territory, one of a kind, going to be really, really special. So
my mind's gone blank. I
cannot
can't
wait.
think.
Well, there we go. Might be the first of its
It
kind.
might be.
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, we just said that on point. That was weird.
It was perfect. There you go. That is the definition of a perfect podcast. In sync hosts. Bam.
Oh God.
But there you go. Moving on. So, obviously, previously discussing, looking at OCRWC. Libby was on about how great it was this year. We were talking about Spartan, and we were talking a little bit about FISO, and that got me kind of thinking a little about the differences between the different races. Now, one thing.
Pre-warning, guys. I am very sorry.
Oh, is this about me getting a big debate again? That might happen, but
No, for the maths that you've been doing.
Oh, I've been doing loads of. I've been calculating everything down to a T.
Yeah.
One. There's so
I'm
much.
dearly sorry.
No, it is stats for you. That will come in, I think, a bit later on. I've really dug into it, but for now, I want to discuss the rules. I'm going to say rules because it'll be describing.
I thought you were going straight into the stats.
No, I'm not going straight to the stats. That comes a little bit later. Don't you worry. That will be there. But I wanted to comparing races like say FISO and OCWC. One of the big differences between them is the rules, and with that being band systems. Band systems differentiate across different races. There's plenty of different systems used. I wrote a load down. I probably could miss a load still because there's so many different types of systems there are in OCR, and there's no free band systems coming the favoured, of course, FISO being the governing body, putting that down as theirs. But still, across UK, across the world, there's so many different systems used. And we just want to have a little discussion at all of them, talk about different band systems and see what people prefer. And of course, seeing what the juniors prefer as it is their sport
and
what, to build.
What the positives and negatives are as well.
Yes, exactly. See what the OCR people think is the best of the best. So yeah, should we get into it?
Yeah.
Okay, so starting off is FISO's favourite and one of the most accepted in the world is the
three band system.
So simple, 3 bands, fell obstacle, cut, snip, snip, you're out, lose all 3.
Cut, snip, snip.
Game. Cut, snip, snip. How else do you use scissors, Libby? Cut, snip, snip. Bam. Point being, 3 bands.
Some people rip bands off.
Oh, no, you can't have the scissors. Marshall's listening. I know you do your job properly. You have your scissors with you.
Yes, they do.
You can't be ripping them. We take marshalling very seriously here. No scissorless marshals. It's not right. But yeah. See, I'm very serious on my rule book, as you can tell. Yes, so simple, like you all know, foul an obstacle, you lose a band, foul 3 obstacles, you lose all 3 bands, you're out. So
you can finish the race still, but
yeah, you finish the race still.
But you're not on the
Yeah. But I think we look at the pros. It's good in terms of it makes obstacles challenging, it makes races challenging. It can change a race very interestingly. It makes obstacles important. If it wasn't for bands like the 3-band system, runners could take a lot more advantage on a runner's course. It adds obstacles being more threatening and more important in races. So, in that sense,
it is good, but there is a couple of downfalls to it.
Yes. So, one of the main things is risk. A lot of athletes like to risk things jumping out, for example, like we see in 100 meters. They take every single risk to try and win. They're leaping out, they're jumping out, taking major risks, like maybe not on a low rig, not putting your feet in, just going arms only, bend arm. Like I say, jumping out for things. When you have 3-band system, it prevents risk. And many of us see risk as an actual part of our sport. I've been able to take these risks in races, what makes them entertaining, what makes them special, what makes you stand out from your opponents.
It also makes spectators sit on, not sit, obviously, but you know the saying, sit on the edge of their seats.
Yes, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, are they going to get it? It's like 100 meters. When you see the people jump out and like, oh my God, are they going to grab it? Are they going to grab it? I think for athletes taking that risk, they get that, the spectators get that edge, which is quite good because it means spectators enjoy it as well.
Yeah. So yes, it's a shame. I think risk is really exciting to see an OCR. It separates people, makes it more interesting. So that's obviously removed from free band system. You don't take a risk. It could be so easy to lose a band quite clumsily. And another main flaw in it is hiding bands is very easy. Well, I'd say easy. Recently in OCR, Marshal's been more harsh on it, but it's still done.
They check it before you go in, make sure you've got all three. But
yeah,
there is some people that hide their bands. I think the other thing is as well making silly mistakes. You shouldn't be able to make silly mistakes, but sometimes you do make them one or two silly mistakes, which then you lose your band, and then some people it will get to their heads, and then they'll make more silly mistakes, and in the end they'll just lose their bands. And I don't want to say some people fall out of love with it, but some people are like, well, what's the point of doing it?
Yeah, it's frustrating
if they're going to keep making them same mistakes.
But yeah, that's free band system. Looking towards full band system, obviously, it's very, very similar, but you can't lose the last band. You get a mark on it, and each mark normally indicating a time penalty, which means obviously you still finish. You can't DNF like on the free band system. It's a slight change and slight difference. It's interesting. Obviously, it's used. I think Dave Peters used it before at Rumble, but it's not really widely used. It's an interesting band system.
You have to then check how many bands they've lost, but then you've also got to check how many marks they've got, and it can be very time consuming because then you also have to put time penalties on.
Yeah, I believe it was 3 on the left, 1 on the right, if not mistaken. So
3 on the left, 1 on the right.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one that can be used as well. Yeah, continuing on, we've got the 1 band system, which obviously as many attempts as possible, but you have to complete everything. You don't complete an obstacle, you lose your band, you fail. Obviously used by OCRWC.
Which I think is a good technique because it means if you make that same mistake, but you know you can complete it, you can try again and then get it. But the downfall is that there's people waiting at obstacles for hours and hours and hours just to try keep their band. And sometimes that can really knock their confidence or impact them really mentally, because I know it's impacted me mentally and got thoughts into my head when I come to race it again the next year. But sometimes if that happens and then you get it the next year, so like obviously I've failed drop zone 2 times in a row, completing it this year on the 15K has really, really built up my confidence.
Yeah.
Like when it comes again in 2026, I know I'll go at it harder because I know I can do it. So there's some positives to it, but then there's some negatives to it that people are just waiting there for so long.
Yeah.
Ripping their hands to absolute shreds.
And that's another concern in certain races, maybe queuing. And that's not clear in all races, of course, but some races might cause queuing. But like we say, it's still a very well liked system. Like it's used at OCWC, it's used at Hang On. It's still a very well liked system. It's still a very effective system, and also it allows risk as well, which is very key.
I think like for some of the obstacles that are like most likely for people to fail, that's where you'll get the queuing.
Yeah.
But with some of the obstacles that are not really unfailable, but you get that 1 or 2 that failing it.
Yeah.
The queues don't play a massive part in it, but I do understand where you're coming from. There's some obstacles that do get queuing.
Yeah.
But I think you get that in most races as well.
Yeah, it can be approaching obstacles as well. Interesting. But yeah. Continuing on, we've also got the 0 band system. I want to split this up into 2. First of all, we'll talk about 0 bands being penalties on the spot, penalties at obstacles, like penalty loops or burpees, etc. One problem with this, especially like penalty loops, it can require a lot more space and also more marshals at points. But overall,
and it becomes a runner's course.
Yeah, but it can also be a lot simpler as well without bands. Yet you're off that simple onto that. Like I say, that's a big issue, especially like I say about space as well, things like that. It can be a bit of a pain, but it's always another possibility. Yeah. Another thing as well, sorry, that uses 0 bands, and I thought about this recently actually, was Midlands 3K. They had your numbers instead of bands. What would happen is they would radio through to like a control center at the finish line and say band person number 63, that was your number, failed, time penalty, which can work. But I think the main issue that it wouldn't work on a large scale, because imagine being that one person writing stuff down with like 50 different radios coming in. But on a small scale, it works.
I think if you have it on a large scale, one way you could do it is Marshall writes down the number of the person on a clipboard and a piece of paper, and then at the end, yes, the results will come in later and you won't figure out who comes first, second, and third, but it's a reliable way. The only downfall to it is the number of marshals that you've got to have on that obstacle.
Yeah, and what I will say as well, if we're looking towards the future, as us an Olympic sport, as us as an elite sport on TV, comes technology. I always have these dreams and stuff. Eventually, will be digital, where instead of any marshals need actually slip bands, it's just like it's on camera. So obviously, digitally, they go, "Yep, flag up," and it's wrote like online on computers and stuff. If that makes sense.
Did you just say you had a dream?
Well, yeah, I think it'd be nice in the future to have this an OCR. Say like
I thought you meant had a physical dream about it.
No, that hasn't happened yet. But you never know. I've had OCR dreams before in the past, but we're not getting into that right now.
Oh God!
I've had dreams of me overtaking Russell Walsh on the finishing line, becoming British champion, beating Dan Titcombe. Whole crowd cheer my name. I crowd surf to glory. Like, you know, me and Titcombe on the last obstacle. I have a little sprint finish. We battle. So there you go. This is my dreams. Eventually be OCR British champion one day. But we've got sidetracked here. My point being, eventually.
You know, I've heard any about becoming world champion.
Yeah, that's the next step. I've got to dream one thing, make another dream come true. But I guess you're right. Shoot for the moon. You might fall on a star.
Shoot for the stars.
No, there's the other one though, isn't it? You shoot for the moon and you miss it. Don't worry, you might still fall on a star. Is that the other saying? Am I imagining that?
I've never heard that before.
If you shoot for the moon, you're still shooting up high. So even if you miss the moon, you still land on the star or something. It'll still be pretty high up. I think that's the saying. We've got distracted. The point being, in the future, that can occur. So there's quite a good system as well in place. But there you go.
Shoot for the moon, you land on a star.
That's a saying. Someone will prove this. What is it like? Reach for the sun and you might land on a star. The sun is a star. I don't know.
Sun is a star.
I don't know. I don't make these sayings. The point being, believe in yourself.
The sun is a giant star. So even if you reach for the sun, you're reaching for a star still.
That's startling. Yeah.
Did you just say that's startling?
I don't know what about. I didn't put another joke in there. Anyway, There you go. Very sidetracked, but that's another potential system that could be in place. Continuing on, we've got the band reward system. And that is, for example, used at Beach Ballistic last year, where when you complete an obstacle, they give you a band. And at the end, they check you have all your bands. And if you haven't got all your bands, it means you didn't complete the obstacle. And I think it's a time penalty, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, it means you've got to keep your bands. But the fact is, that's your responsibility to keep them, as in like on your wrists and stuff. You can't like hide bands like you have a free band system. I quite like it in that terms. Only issue being, it doesn't really work with a large amount of people. You imagine like a group of like 10 athletes going through with 2 marshals being there, each time have to gift them a band or put it on their wrist or something. It can be quite a complex system. So yeah, it can work, but I think those big scales, it wouldn't often work as well. But in my opinion, it's a really, really beneficial and useful system in OCR that should be used more often. So yeah.
Yeah.
But continuing on, I want to talk about a mix of both systems. I think we saw Titan
I've just found Finn's new word that you repeat multiple times.
What is it, sorry?
Keeping on.
Oh, keeping on, yeah, going on, moving forward. It's been very positive.
Just say going on.
Oh, going on then. We're going on. Going on an adventure to the next band system.
You did a really weird accent then when you did that.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Keeping on?
Let's keep going. I was going to say that again, but let's keep going. Let's keep on track. Going towards mix of both band systems. Like I said, it was used at Titan Warrior. They had a free band system, but at certain points they had like a no band system. We had penalties on the spot. I think the only issue that being it can be confusing for athletes to have multiple different systems in place. So, and maybe even marshals as well, not knowing when they have to cut a band or send them to a penalty loop. So it can be a bit confusing to have multiple band systems. But yeah, there you go. And the final one I wanted to mention isn't as much of a band system. It's the toughest system, where they have rigs which have easy and hard lanes. So either way, people are quite good at obstacles, or they're struggling to keep their band, or not even bans, for example. The fact is, they can then go to an easy lane or a hard lane, giving every athlete, no matter what their ability, the options. The only issue being that requires a lot of space, a lot of expensive, because you need, obviously, to basically build every rig double. You need more attachments, more scaffolding. So it's quite expensive. And that's the only issue with it, but it could be quite useful in the future. So, yeah, that's just a little small segment talking about bans and potential for the future OCR. Love to hear what people think about these, what their third system is, and yeah, especially the juniors for the future OCR. What one of them would you like to see, and why? What is your preferred one? What's the reason behind that? What ones you don't like? Because it's important that we discuss this, because with our sport being, I say, so young, there's so many big things we have to try and think about. Many of them we don't even realise are issues.
Which one is the best
one
exactly to use? Or we don't know, the best one might not even be found yet.
Exactly. That's what I think. I think the future of our sport, when we're like properly on TV and stuff, it'll be done digitally. Like penalties and stuff will be done online. Like they have a little, you know what I mean, online. There'll be a little mark next to your name on the scoreboard on TV, etc. Officials will do that for you. It'll be all calculated digitally.
Kind of like the Spartan Games.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I've always had I want to say dream.
I started rewatching that the other day.
Yeah. I was going to say I have a dream again. I don't want to get that whole route again. But I've always imagined potentially in the future, because we can't do this right now because our sport isn't funded enough. But I've always imagined Marshall having an app or something where they can put people's names on, scroll down, select, cut a band off digitally. And that could be something for the future, having an app where digitally people have bands cut off.
Yeah, but then you get the downfall for that as well.
Yeah, there's flaws everywhere, I think.
The app might not be working on that day, and
yeah, there's all sorts that could go wrong.
There might be a lag to it, so this person might finish and it might not actually come through that they've got a penalty yet.
Yeah, it's all sorts.
There's always positive and negatives to most things.
Yeah,
as I see it.
The main key thing, though, I think, is, and this is a sad thing, there is not a simple answer, which is why we're obviously discussing this, going into these different systems, explaining them out so people can have their say and say what they think, because there is no real answer to this. But yeah, there you go. I'll tell you what, I'm going to another big topic now after this, and I'm quite excited. And this is what Libby was on about before, about all the maths going into it.
For everyone who's listening, I'm so sorry about what you're about to hear.
No, but it is important.
In the nicest way possible.
I think this is a really important subject.
It's important.
It's a really important subject.
No, it is. It is important. That probably sounded really sarcastic. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
But it is important to do.
For the juniors.
It is important for people. Yeah, it is important conversation.
What we need to talk about is the future of our sport, and if we will have future races in the UK. And the reason I say this is this season I've been speaking to a lot of people, and also next year they're planning to go to Europe for more races because, well, the competition's out in Europe. Right now, I will say this, we haven't got anyone up there for the best or the elite in Europe. And for that reason, everyone goes to Europe to compete. They want to go against the best of the best, and they want to compete on the best obstacles, the biggest challenges. So far as I'm aware, everyone's going to Europe next year. And the big issue here being, could this lead to a lack of UK races and destroy OCR in the UK? Because if events overlap in the UK and with Europe, everyone goes to the European ones. No one's going to the UK ones. That's a lack of profit. These races might shut down. And before you know it, for these juniors and everyone growing up, there'll be a lack of OCR in the UK. Everyone's going to Europe. So it's a real interesting subject. And also looking at what could we do in the UK to make ourselves more like European races and potentially try and gain back our athletes. Because all athletes are going. And I say this well as an athlete. I've been very keen by European races. I've done European races.
Oh, yeah.
But
I love European races.
Yeah, and I think it's very much deserved we love our European races because they are really, really good. But what could be done in the UK is the main question.
Why don't you tell us, Finn?
Well, see, I've got lots of notes here. And one thing I want to highlight, is why instead of going, I feel like we need to discuss this. What I'm saying now is really, really important. We're all going to European races. I know it's very hard to do. Obviously, one thing we can't do is bring the European competition to us. Or can we? And doing that, we need to make our races tougher. So, can we now go
make more races as well?
Yes.
Possible, if possible.
Mm-hmm. But I think the main thing is the races in the UK, I think athletes need to discuss and talk to a lot of the race organisers and try and say what they want, like say what the European races have, and say this is what we want. We want that here, and hopefully that means better UK races, meaning more UK athletes would stay, but also potentially athletes from Europe would come to the UK. Because that's what we want to see, what European athletes come in. And I think we need to really try and focus up and try and fix that in the UK, because that's the major problem we have, and why we're falling behind Europe and seem to be handicapped against them, because our races aren't up to European standard. And another thing is, though, I think it's hard to balance, is you look at us, we have a lot of fun runners, and a lot of races we have,
which
like nuclear
is
races.
Good in some way.
Yes, but for us as elites,
because it means we're getting new people into the sport, but the only problem is we've not got them top athletes.
Yeah. So
we've got some really good athletes in the UK, but not loads that are hitting the top numbers.
Yeah, and that's for these reasons. And what I wanted to think about really is, and I want everyone to listen to this and wonder, and that is, can we satisfy both elite and fun runners in the UK? Can we accommodate for both? Because if you look at it, we make races for fun runners. It means profits. The races can survive. But elites are often displeased and often go to European races because it's not competitive enough. But when we make races suited for elite runners, it isn't suited to fun runners. They don't compete, and races struggle to make a profit in the end, because the fact is, the fun runners is where they earn money and where they survive. And it becomes a real issue of balancing the books and making both fields of elite and fun runners happy. And this is the issue. When they're not happy elites, they go to Europe, meaning our races can potentially suffer. So it's a big flaw, I think, and it can really cost the future of our sport in the UK and make us really, really flawed, especially for new people coming in. They won't go to race in the UK because they won't exist. People who know European races are people who have been in OCR for a long time and realise European races are where it's at. People who are coming into the sport won't know that, and they won't have a race to compete. So a lot of young runners would probably be missed and miss the sport, which is sad to see and can really affect the future of our sport. And I mean, I say this, well, I think some races have hit the target in the past. Talk about Tartan Warrior last year. Tartan Warrior was really, really good, especially competitively for the elites. Also had a bunch of fun runners. That was so well executed. I think Nuclear Races as well has in the past done really well for fun runners and elites. But yeah, it's an interesting subject. And I think we need to try and focus more on improving our own races as well, to make sure we're more up there with the Europeans. So yeah, I think it's really, really important. But it's a big subject, and I know it's controversial because people want to go to the best races, and that means stepping outside of the UK. But it might need to be done. And I'm going to say something else here now, and it might be once again slightly controversial. But do you think it's possible?
Oh gosh,
we might also see European races for like rose-tinted spectacles, if that makes sense. So rose-tinted spectacles being like, we see them. I was trying to think how to describe the phrase. Basically, we look up to them more than they probably should do. They look better than they actually are, because I think there's like, I'm going to turn to good old Chris Shipley here, to like a proper scientist. I'm going to do what he likes to do.
Oh no!
Like scientist Greenleaf coming in here. I'm going to talk about dopamine effects. And I think here, when we go to European races, we also go, oh, look, we're on holiday. I can go to restaurants and go eat. And I think often we think European races look better than they actually are, because we're also enjoying getting a flight out somewhere nice, warm and sunny. We're going to race. We're also treating it as a holiday. So I think often we look at European races better than they actually are, because we are unconsciously aware that they're having this dopamine effect on us, makes us more happy than we actually are in the UK. So I think sometimes as well, we look at European races a little bit too highly. We need to give ourselves a little bit more respect. But
some of them are really good, though.
Yes, we have to say that as well. But
some of them are really good.
Yeah, and that's what we need in the UK. How do we make these European athletes come to the UK? How do we make them up to the standard? How do we make them to the standard?
Do you know what we need?
What?
Nice blue seas and clear seas.
It's a lot nicer than like what was it?
Muddy puddles.
It was in Hvar, wasn't it? Croatia. Yeah. So just compare that. Imagine Spartan World Championships, Hvar, Croatia, compared to if I said Spartan World Championships, Sunderland, England. You get a completely different vibe from it. So in fairness, we're a little handicapped in our locations compared to Europe. But that's exactly what I mean. You look at Europeans as a holiday sometimes, and it means we prefer them a little bit more to our UK races. So
because they look so glorious.
They do, they really do. But that's the thing. How can we make
so lovely?
how can we make those athletes though from Europe come to the UK, and how can we make it so UK races are a standard good enough so our youth athletes can then race in the UK at the toughest level, so they go to Europe and it's not a shock. Like, I remember my first European race; it's absolutely shocked the system seeing these crazy difficult obstacles. We need that standard more in the UK, and it needs to happen. And one thing I want to make clear as well, another big issue is, and this is where the maths comes in, everyone, is it a sense of possible greed, apparently? Because we look at our races, I say a lot of them thrive on the
Fun
fun
runners.
runners. Yeah, the fun runners, what they thrive on as a profit to keep going. When we look at places like the Danish altitude OCR, Hang On, they all seem to be able to cope with a less amount of fun runners and more elites, competitive, or just mildly capable people on obstacles. They have a lot less fun runners, a lot more proper, tough obstacles. Yet they seem to survive, make a profit quite easily. And why can't we do that?
Why not, Finn?
Races are a little bit greedy sometimes and want a further profit, or is the audience not here in the UK to have this elite field? And another big issue, I think, is prices. European races are way, way cheaper. And this is where the maths comes in now, everyone. Nuclear Fallout is £71 for 7K, and the 14K is £81. You know, Nuclear Challenge Cup is £91. You compare this to Hang On, where it is £34.53p for 12K. I know I bottled that. I know it's my big moment. I just stumbled there. £34.55p for a 12K race, which is just incredible prices. You compare that to Nuclear, which in my opinion is not as good a race to Hang On, this European race, which is in my opinion one of the best in the world. It's so much cheaper and yet so much better as well. And then
Wait, how far did you say it was again? Sorry.
Hang On's 12K, or that distance.
Okay.
Compared to the 14K Nuclear, £81, over double the price.
Yeah.
And then another big thing is look at the kids. UK Spartan Kids, I checked this as well, is advertised as 1 to 3K for £20. It's advertised as 1 to 3K. So you can say potentially there is a 1K kids race for £20, which doing the maths, that is 50p per metre for a race. You're paying 50p per metre for a race, which in my opinion is absolutely outrageous. So it's stupid costs. Like I say, it could be at max a 3K race for £20 compared to a 12K for £34.55, which is a way higher standard at Hang On. You look at Spartan Beast, it's £119.99 compared to Poseidon Race, which is £35.50. That's an elite wave in Spain. Toughest in Oslo is actually £50, which is actually more expensive than most European races. And yet they still thrive, having fun runners and these capable elites. And they are just better off in Europe. And there could be other reasons behind this. Like, for example, insurance is quite expensive in the UK. Races have to pay more insurance. They have to mean it's more expensive because obviously they're paying more for that. So the ticket prices have to rise. But at the same time, it just seems like these European races are better off and are able to like tread the line between elite and fun runner. And is it possible to make that line exist and walk on it in the UK to be able to balance between elite and fun runner and make it better for everyone? So it's a real interesting thing that could come down to it and really affect the future of our sport in the UK, because everyone keeps going to the European races. Who knows? There won't be much left here in the UK itself. So it's really, really important to think about.
No, I definitely agree with you. It is something that needs to be talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it shows our sport is so unique and different, though. You look at things like running. Obviously, you can run at your own pace. You're still physically competing it. No matter what pace you're doing, you're still going. Walking, jogging, sprinting, etc. No matter what pace you are, you're still going. Swimming, for example, is the same thing. No matter what speed you're swimming at, you're still swimming at your own pace. Fencing, it depends on your opponent's ability. Different opponent, depends how tough or easy it is. With OCR, everyone has to go through the same obstacles. It means it's very, very hard to account for fun runners and elites alike. So it's a real issue we've got to tackle and get through. So, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, I think it definitely needs to be talked about, and I think the best way is to just get it out to everyone. That's why we're doing this, especially to the juniors as well, because the juniors are going to want to grow up in the sport and do the sport for as long as possible, and we need to find a way to keep the sport going.
If that isn't possible in the UK because of European races, then we'll just fall behind and fail. Which is sad to say, but it is sadly true. So yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we had to discuss today. It's a whole lot, but hoping you've all enjoyed it. Hopefully it's been important to you guys as well as it is to us, because in my opinion, this is a really, really important thing we need to discuss in our sport and make sure our sport can survive and thrive in the way it deserves to. And especially for these young athletes, they deserve to have an OCR that can thrive as a sport in the world. And we want to make that happen, we want to make that possible. And we'll do everything to make sure that can happen.
Yep.
But yeah.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's the return of pint-sized OCR.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and hopefully the next one we will have a guest with us.
Yes, we've got plenty of plans upcoming. I know we've been guest absent from the last two, but we've got big plans coming, everyone. So please buckle up your seatbelts, be ready. We're full of surprises, we're full of fun.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. But
and also let us know what you guys want us to talk about in future podcasts, because obviously we're coming towards the end of the race. We're at the end of the race season now, so we're not going to have any race updates or anything like that.
Yeah.
So let us know what you want us to talk about.
And that's
and
really
if
important.
you have any questions or what you think would be good for us to talk about.
I was about to say that as well. It's really important because it is really up to you guys. We say we're the host of this podcast, but that's not really true. We're the puppets, and you guys listening, play the strings. You let us know what you want to talk about, and we'll say it because we're here for you guys, and that's the reason we're doing this. We want to help and support you guys. I say that I love it as well. I love being here and speaking for you guys. But
it
really,
is good.
That's the reason we're here for you. So please get in contact. Give us a shout.
And I don't actually know what else we're going to talk about because race season's over.
I don't think you understand, Libby. I've spent ages on a calculator figuring out how much a race costs per meter. I can make anything up.
Oh God!
Easily. I can make anything hopefully interesting. I hope everyone found my mathematics interesting today. I hope I haven't bored everyone. But yeah, there you go. That's what we've had to discuss.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you everyone for listening once again. Hope you enjoyed. I want to remind everyone, though, obviously about UKOCR's Patreon. Those who are listening to this earlier than everyone else will know, because guess what? They're on the Patreon. So remember, you get us and all of your favourite UKOCR podcasts. So consider subscribing for a very small fee. And it makes it so much more worthwhile. You get to hear our lovely voices before everyone else and all the other lovely podcasts we have on UKOCR. So consider that. There you go. Advertisement.
Yeah.
Tick. Awesome podcast. Tick. Proving that I won the debate last week. Tick. Perfect. Done.
Sorry.
You didn't hear that, did you? What? I was just saying I won the debate. That's all. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.
Oh, of course. Of course you did.
Well, I think.
Yep. Let's end this before we start.
Let's end this before it comes to a war. But the point being, you people agree with me. UKOCR.
No. Okay, that's it.
There you go. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for listening to this, and we'll catch you on the next one, which hopefully we can get out as soon as we can next month.
Yeah, we're excited for it.
So we won't leave it to the last bit. Literally the last month. But yeah.
Yeah, but there you go. That's all we've got to say pretty much, isn't it? So, cheerio.
Yeah. See you later, guys. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to Pint-Sized OCR, produced and presented by UKOCR. If you like what you hear, please subscribe or leave us a review. And you can even get your parents to join our Patreon train so you can get your podcasts earlier than everyone else.
So alive, make it last for